A'udhu, I seek refuge billahi in Allah mina from ash-shaytani, the devil, ar-rajim, the accursed one. Bismillahi, in the name of Allah, ar-Rahmani, is the most compassionate, ar-Rahimi, most merciful. This is your humble and respectable orator, Muhammad Israel, and after sending salutations upon the mercy of humanity, the selected one, Ahmed, and all of his family members aided him, or those who aided him of his family members and his companions, and send much salutation and peace and blessings upon all of the prophets prior to him, all of those messengers from Adam, or between him and Adam alayhi salatu wassalam. We're picking up with the legendary military ideology of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him. Quick disclosure, we are in volume 2 instead of volume 1, and we're going to be picking up from page number 215. Highly and strongly recommended that all of the videos prior to this one are at least reviewed and revised, because this is the legendary military ideology of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But prior to the era of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, which this is video number 118, there is also the legendary military empire, the era of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan, as well as the legendary military government, the era of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab. So is there the legendary military legacy of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which is the era of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, a very important era. And obviously, the legendary military career of the Prophet Muhammad, alayka salawatullahi alayhi. We are picking up now, and this is in reference to where we left off, and we have to revisit the arbitration between Muawiyah and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhuma, and after, or what follow the battle of Siffeen. So again, all of the chains of narration of Abu Makhnaf are weak because of him. The first reason is that Abu Makhnaf Lut ibn Yahya is weak and not trustworthy. He was a dishonest narrator and an extreme Rafidi. The second reason is that Ibn Sa'd said concerning him, he was weak. Bukhari and Abu Hatim said Yahya al-Qattam regarded him as weak. Uthman ad-Darimi said, open quote, he is weak. And Nasa'i said, open end quote, he is weak. So Abu Makhnaf. And he's mainly a Shi'i narrator. And the Shia have distorted a lot of hadith, and a lot of hadith have been misled through how they translate them. But anyhow, these are the versions of the well-known story of the arbitration and the alleged debate between Abu Musa and Amr ibn al-As. Can proof be based on something like this, or can these reports be relied on with regard to the history of the noble companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum in the era of the righteously guided Khalifas, the most exemplary of eras? If there was nothing wrong with these reports except some contradictions in their text, that would be sufficient to regard them as weak. So how about if we add to that the weakness of their chain of narrations? 3.4.2, the issue is very important with regard to belief and legislation. Despite its importance, It is not transmitted by any sound chain of narration. It is impossible that the scholars would unanimously ignore it, even though it is so important and there is such a great need for it. 3.4.3. There is a report which refutes these reports completely. It was narrated in brief by Bukhari in his Tariq with a chain of narration whose narrations are trustworthy. It was also narrated by Ibn Asakir from Al-Husayn ibn al-Munzir that Muawiyah sent him to Amr ibn al-As, instructing him, open quote, I have heard about Amr something that I dislike. Go to him and ask him about the matter concerning which Amr and Abu Musa met and what happened in their meeting. Amr said, open quote, people talk too much about this issue, but nothing of what they describe happened. When I met Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, I said to him, what do you think about this matter? He said, I think that Ali radiallahu anhu is one of those with whom the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu was pleased when he passed on. I said, how about me and Muawiyah? Where do we fit in? He said, if he, Ali radiallahu anhu, seeks your help, then you are a good help. And if he decides not to seek your help, he can run his affairs without your help. End quote. Abu Musa spoke of Amr's piety and how he used to take stock of himself and remember the lives of Abu Bakr and Umar. May Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with both of them, as well as his worries about what had happened after they were gone. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, Amr ibn al-As said to me, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, if Abu Bakr and Umar forsook this wealth when it was permissible for them, it is possible that they had an unfair deal and were wronged, or was it a misjudgment on their part? By Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, they did not have an unfair deal, and they were not wrong, and their decision was not based on misjudgment. By Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, weakness only came to us because of our deeds. End quote. 3.4.4. Muawiyah affirmed Ali's superiority over him and that he was more entitled to the Khilafat than he. He did not dispute with him for the Khilafat or seek it for himself during Ali's lifetime. Yahya ibn Sulaiman al-Jafi narrated with a good chain of narration from Abu Muslim al-Khawlani that he said to Muawiyah, open quote, are you disputing with Ali for the Khilafat or are you like him? He said, no. I know that he is better than me and is more entitled to the Khilafat, but don't you know that Uthman was martyred, was assassinated wrongfully, and I am his paternal cousin and next of kin who should seek retaliation for him. Go to Ali and tell him to hand over the killers of Uthman to us and I will submit to his rule. End quote. They went to Ali and spoke to him, but he did not hand the murderers over to him. This is the basis of the dispute between Ali and Muawiyah. May Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with both of them, and the arbitration was aimed at resolving the matter of conflict, not choosing or dismissing a Khalif. The Hazm said, or Ibn Hazm, said something concerning this matter, that Ali radiallahu anhu fought Muawiyah because the latter refused to carry out his instructions in Syria and he was the Khalif who was to be obeyed. Muawiyah never denied Ali's superiority and entitlement to the Khilaf, but his reasoning led him to think that bringing the murderers of Uthman to justice took precedence of swearing allegiance to Ali radiallahu anhu, the commander of the believers, and he thought that he was more right to seek retaliation for the murder of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu, and to speak of it than the sons of Uthman and Al-Hakam ibn Abi al-As, because of his age and his ability to pursue the matter itself. He was correct in that regard, but he was wrong with regard to giving this matter precedence over swearing allegiance to the Khalif. And this is a big misconception. People think that they fought over leadership, and they really are getting that out there. They did not fight over leadership. They fought over the fact that one believed that precedence was to give the justice or to get the justice for Uthman radiallahu anhu being slain, while the other felt that the precedence was to unify the ummah itself. And since he was the commander of the believers, then he was entitled to that. So again, it was really over principle, precedence, what one felt that preceded that would be more befitting for the time being than the other. So this is the reason, not the fact that they were fighting over, as many Western historians and colonialists try to betray it. They were companions, and they already understood, their roles and their responsibilities, to where it wasn't over leadership. Ali radiallahu anhu was already the commander, the leader of the believers. Understanding the dispute on this basis, which is the reality of the dispute, highlights the extent to which the reports quoted above about the arbitration are mistaken in the way in which they depicted the ruling of the two arbitrators. The two arbitrators were given authority to issue a verdict concerning the dispute between Ali radiallahu anhu and Muawiyah, but the dispute between them was not concerning the khilaf and which of them was more entitled to it. Rather, it had to do with carrying out retaliatory punishments on the murderers of Sayyidina Uthman. This had nothing to do with the issue of Khalif at all. If the two arbitrators had ignored this basic issue that they had been asked to decide about, and taken a decision concerning the Khalif instead, as the widely circulated reports claim, then what that means is that they did not solve the dispute issue and did not understand the issue of this case, and this is something that is very unlikely. The conditions that must be met by the Khalif are good character, knowledge, and wisdom to enable him to conduct his subjects' affairs and take care of their interests. He should also be of Qurayshi descent. These conditions were met by Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Was allegiance to him valid or not? If it was valid, and there is no doubt concerning that, in the Muhajirin and the Ansar, the decision maker swore allegiance to him and his opponents confirmed that to him, then the words of Muawiyah indicate that if the Khalif is not devoid of the qualities of a leader and those who appointed him decide to depose him, they have no right to do that according to consensus, because once a Khalif is appointed and allegiance is sworn to him, obedience to him becomes binding, and there is no option of deposing him without a reason that dictates such. Khalifat cannot be effective, and the position cannot achieve the required purpose unless obedience is binding. If the people are given the option of deposing the Khalif because they prefer someone else, then the Khalif can never be in full control, and he will have no power or ability. The post of Khalif would make no sense at all. Very important point concerning the Khalifat authority, very important, because everybody is a Khalif of their own today. In mainstream Islam, weak Muslim something, people like to go on about how we are all weak and all this and all of that. We're just making up stuff as we go along. We're trying to make Islam work for us today, that type of deal. All right. Therefore, the issue is not as depicted in these reports, which suggest that anyone who does not like a Khalif may depose him. No one has the right to depose the Khalif except those who appointed him, namely the decision makers, provided that the Khalif has gone against the conditions of his appointment. Did Ali radiallahu anhu do anything to make the decision makers decide to dismiss him from the Khalifate when he was the rightfully guided Khalif? In which case, it might be suggested that the two arbitrators had agreed on that. He did nothing until he passed away that might dictate dismissing him from his post. He did nothing except act justly, strive hard for Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, and did righteous deeds. Inshallah, we're going to end this one here on page number 217. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسم ربك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the glorious, the most merciful, the all omnipotent, and we send praise and salutation upon peace and blessings to the selected one, the mercy of humanity, Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. We send also much praises and salutations upon all of those prophets and messengers before him, between him and Adam alayhi salatu wassalam. And our last supplication is all praises and gratitude is due to Allah and Allah alone. Muhammad Israel again, over and out.